Welcome to Right on Track, a songwriting podcast. Thanks to Tone for tuning in. I'm Demi Michelle Schwartz, and I'm thrilled you're joining me on my songwriting journey. So kick back and relax, don't fall flat, and remember, stay right on track. Hello, welcome back to Right on Track. I'm so excited because today I'm joined by UK country duo Adele and Andy. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great, how are you?
Yeah, we're good, thank you.
So I'm so excited because today we're going to be talking all about the songwriting process. But before we do that, would you like to share a little bit about how you got started in music?
Yeah, so when Adele and I met, I didn't even know that she actually could sing, and Adele suffers from anxiety, and she kind of like one day said to me, we were talking about somebody singing, and she made a comment, and I went, "Oh, can you sing?" And she went, "Well, I'm not terrible." Um, And I managed to find out that she'd recorded some songs on a Shmoo app and had a listen to it, and I was absolutely blown away. And I kind of knew at that point that this is what Adele was born to do, really. So we kind of, I managed to get her to go to a couple of, well, no, not a couple, 12 open mics. And each time she kind of refused to sing. And I was kind of patient with her and knew that one day she'd actually get up there. And of course she did. And it was one of those surreal moments where the whole room went very, very quiet because they knew us at the pub, but they didn't know Adele could sing. And of course, when she stood up and sung for the first time, it was just like really quiet. And then all of a sudden, it erupted at the end, and everybody stood up and cheered. It was great. And from there, we decided that we'd start performing. Well, Adele started first of all. And had a couple of people play guitar for it, but it didn't really work out. So she encouraged me to start playing guitar, and here we are today. We've gone through lots of different obstacles, but we're thoroughly enjoying what we do.
That is such an incredible story, and it's so unique too. And Adele, you have a beautiful voice, so don't ever think you don't, because you're incredible.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. So, I know that you mentioned that you have a very unique songwriting process, and I'm very interested to learn all about this. So, to kick off this whole discussion, would one of you like to read a quote by Mark Knopfler?
Yeah, I mean, Mark Knopfler is one of my heroes in actual fact, and grew up listening to him. And the quote that I've got in front of me says, "Each song has its own secret that's different from another song, and each has its own life. Sometimes it has to be teased out, whereas other times it might come out fast. There are no laws about songwriting or producing." And I love that quote because it kind of says it all to me.
Yeah, it definitely does. It's so incredible. And the second I saw this quote, I knew it was perfect for this episode because songwriting has no laws. There are many different ways of doing it. And just as this quote is saying, it's different from song to song, too. We all have our processes, but even that can change a bit depending on what song we're writing and how each song has its own life. So, can you guys share your very unique songwriting process? Because I'm extremely intrigued.
To be honest, we've only just started writing songs together, but from hearing other artists and hearing how they produce the songs, normally it's that you come up with the hook line and then your chorus and your verse, and I think we're the opposite. We just do it completely different. Andy's the one that writes more of the songs. He's wrote majority of them. I've only wrote two, I think, two or three.
Yeah.
Two or three, yeah.
Yeah.
But it comes out like when he puts pen to paper, it comes more like a story first. Like, and when I say a story, I mean it could be going over 2 or 3 pages long because he literally writes a story. So we kind of cut chunks out of it and cut it down, and we go, right, this will be the verse, and then this will be the second verse, and we need to try and then do the chorus. And it's not until we actually sit and start putting the melody to it that we actually come up with the hook line at the end of the chorus.
And I think probably to illustrate it, one of our songs, which is called "As Much as I Miss You," was a song that It kind of came really from a Facebook article, and I was reading about a mother son whose boy was going to war, and it kind of got me thinking about it. And I have a boy who lives in America, in Boston, and I've not seen him for 18 months, and that kind of tears me apart. So it was like, well, how on earth do people cope with that? And it kind of got me thinking about a story, and I imagined a boy, you know, um, who may have lost his father, in as a soldier, and wanting to honour his name as becoming a soldier himself. And the story sort of emerged that saw the boy going to see the mum, and the mum putting a brave face on it, in that clearly she didn't want him to go, but she knew that it's what he needed to do. And I started telling Adele a story, and you just sort of said,
It was
"Stop."
like it was like watching a film, like in my head. I could just see all the pictures. I could see like the mum like fixing his son's tie and sorting his collar out, and I could see that when the dad had sadly passed during war, that she had the flag like laid out in her hand, and it was literally like watching a film in my head as Andy was explaining it to me.
So we kind of put the song together, and went backwards and forwards in terms of cutting it down and trying to make sure the melody, the words were hooking around the melody. And we played the song, and the first time we played the song, we both bawled our eyes out. We're absolutely, it was so emotional. It was a really emotional experience for us both.
Well, that's incredible. And I absolutely love how you have such a focus on the story. Actually, starting not really thinking about lyrics specifically, but just getting a story out and then finding the lyrics from there. And I think as country artists, that's huge because country music is all about the story of the song. And so, can you talk a little bit about how you think your songwriting style or process is really best suited for the country genre?
It's the truth, I think. I think we sing a lot about the truth, whether it a lot of it at first was from our own life. So we've always said we very much wear our hearts on our sleeves with a lot of our songs, but we've started to kind of come away from that a bit and start writing about other people's experiences. But we've never just
We don't put words down
yeah,
for the sake of it.
yeah.
It has to, as far as we're concerned, it has to, every line that we write has to be something that's believable, something that could have happened, something that might have, happened to you or to somebody else, really. And, as you said, I think country music is about that, really. And, it's it's not so much about making a melody that's I think that that people are going to sing along to. It's more about, actually, no, we're not going to shortchange ourselves. We're going with a story, and that's what we want to do.
Yeah, I know. And I love how you emphasize telling the truth. And I think that's very important, especially nowadays. There are so many artists trying to break through. And if you start to make up things and not be authentic, the industry is definitely going to see through that. And I think, especially in country music, you want to speak from the heart and share truth and authenticity. And I think you guys are definitely doing that.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, thank you. That was our aim. I think we're quite authentic as people. I think we're just normal people. We don't, we're not big on, we're not particularly materialistic. We just enjoy the small things in life. Family, we love our family, and we love going on walks, and just really dealing with the things in life that we think are important. And I think lockdown is, one of those things that one of my beliefs was, or hopes, was that people would kind of take a step back and go, do you know what, we're pretty lucky here, and let's value the things that are really important.
So, can you talk a little bit more about how you get started with a new song idea?
Okay, so one in particular that seems to be a favourite is a song called No More Goodbyes. And it was one that I wrote, and it was the story of how me and Andy actually like met and how we got together. So it was just me sitting one night, and I think something had just happened, and we were laughing, and we just had like a really good night, and it was like one of those moments where something just kind of clicked and you were like, oh, I'd just like to start writing about this. And you just start, like me, I write little notes on like my app on my phone. and that's how I get started with mine. It's always something that's
I think No More Goodbyes
Yeah.
is really what why I like No More Goodbyes is it's quite emotional in the sense that Adele and I, there's quite an age difference between Adele and I, and when we first got together, it was one of those things where we both liked each other, but we really didn't actually wonder whether it could work because of that. And of course, we I think we've showed that age is just a number.
Mm.
And I think at the time it was like me waiting for Adele to say something and her waiting for me, and we'd meet and then as friends, and then we'd say goodbye, and it happened again, and I'd kind of go, shall I say something? No, I can't. And she was thinking the same thing, and we could have gone on forever, really. But there was one day where I think Adele had, because she was at the time in a relationship, and I think it wasn't a great relationship, and I think just one day she just went, "That's it. I'm making the step," and you can feel it in the song. You can feel the absolute sort of feeling of euphoria when we both knew that we it was
wanting
going
to
to
be
work.
together and it was going to work. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that it's not a particularly classic song in the sense that it's very deep or anything like that, but it does make you feel wow, this is euphoric.
I think with the songwriting though, it can happen at any time. Like Andy's bolted up right at 2 o'clock in the morning and been like, Adele, write these lyrics in your phone because I've just, he's just thought of something or remembered something that he's seen or been reading about. It can happen at the most random times.
And I think reading as well. I mean, there was a situation where we've got a little boy called Jordan, and I'm waiting desperately to read him To Kill a Mockingbird, and as I was like telling him what it was about, and I couldn't really because he wasn't old enough. It got me thinking about stuff that happened in there, and that got me thinking about another program called Roots and racial injustice. And before I knew it, I got a song Earl, that had come out of it because those things had, they were buried in my own mind, but they came out just because I was just talking to my boy about life.
I love all of this so much. I'm so inspired by both of you. Oh my gosh. I love it. And I love how you really put an emphasis on you just knew that you guys are going to work so well together. And I think no matter what you do, especially you as a duo, it's so important to have that chemistry and that strong connection, especially when making music, because it's so truthful and authentic and honest. And I think a big part of the songwriting process for any songwriter is that we definitely hit writer's block from time to time and might feel uninspired. So, in times when you feel like things just aren't working with your songs, what are your ways of working past that writer's block and finding the magic again?
This sounds terrible, but I've not experienced it.
Whereas
Oh
I have.
no! Give me your
I
life.
have, but Andy hasn't.
No, because I mean we've only been doing country music for a year now, and in that time we've probably got, I don't know, 12 tracks out, something like that.
Mhm.
And being brutally honest, I haven't written a song for I don't know, a couple of months, something like that.
He doesn't ever sit and just write a song just for the sake of writing a song.
Yeah.
It is one that has to come to him.
Yeah.
Whereas I'll go, oh, maybe I'll do one about this or maybe I'll do one about that. And I get writer's block. So I think the more you try and work on it to try and get through it, the worse your block
I think
becomes.
you've got to come away from it.
Yeah. So yeah, what I do is I completely come away from it. I have to forget about the song, and then at the most random point, I'll go, oh, this will be another line, and it just has to come. Because at the moment I've got 2 that are unfinished that I've told Andy about, but I've not told him what they're about. And I've said I can't do them because I can't. I've only got like to a certain point, like I've only got a verse or I've only got a chorus, and I can't see past that. So I've had to go, I'm just gonna take a step back and just not think about them. And then I know it'll come back to me when it's ready.
Yeah, I mean, I've got halfway through a song and thought, I don't really know where I'm going with this, and I've like put it down and come back to it. It's been fine. Yeah, I think the advice that I would give to anybody is that if it's not working, then maybe even stop the song and start another one, because I would say for every one song that makes it for us, 3 songs don't. We've been 3 songs because we're just not happy with them, and so we've probably written about another 30 songs that have just never emerged because we didn't like them.
For me myself too, I know that I have to get out not so good songs in order to get to the amazing ones, and that seems to be a technique that you guys use as well. And what Adele was saying specifically about writer's block, how it will come to you, like if you take a break from the song at random times, you'll get these sparks again. And I think that's so cool because even though we're not consciously thinking about lyrics and melody or anything, our mind is kind of still mowing things over without us knowing, and out of the blue, we'll get these sparks of inspiration. I think that's one of the most special things about being a songwriter. So, one part of the whole songwriting process that I personally think is very important is rewrites and making sure that a song is perfect before you say it's done. So, for you guys, what is your rewrite process, and how do you know in your hearts that your song is done and ready to share with the world?
I think so. I've never been in a situation where Adele's come back with melody and I haven't had to make an adjustment. There's usually a phrase or something that doesn't quite work or doesn't quite fit, and we change the words, don't we?
Yeah, needs a few words taken out,
Yeah.
or there's something that doesn't quite fit around the melody, so you just have to kind of tweak the sentence a little bit. But
we're also very lucky because obviously we live in the same house that we just play them to death. So we'll play them. We've done songs where we've played them and it's like, right, we need to chop that verse in half, or we need in the end, rather than having an end chorus, we need half a chorus. And it just becomes, the more times you play it, the more times this song's too long, or actually I'm getting bored with this song, so actually everybody else is, so we need to cut it down. So I would say we play it 30 times before we even take it into a studio. And then, of course, when you get into the studio, it's different again.
Yeah. But we always ask for people's opinions as well, because we do a lot of streaming online. That we always go, we've got the song, what do you think of it? Just to get some feedback really before we definitely like go into the studio, because if someone goes, oh, it's feel like it's a little bit slow, it could do with a bit of a kick, then we'll, come back and go, right, let's give it a bit of a kick kind of thing as well.
I feel like a lot of songwriters are afraid to kind of share their work. And I think the reason why is because there's something about the song they just don't feel is right, but they are kind of running away from that. But as soon as you're in front of people or live streaming or something where you're forced to share a song, that's where I feel like all the flaws of the song and the things that can be better kind of become so clear to you. So I think what you guys are doing is like an amazing way to know when your songs are done.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, we know, we do live streams. We're not perfect.
Definitely not.
We're way far. We're way away from being perfect, and I think I don't think we're too concerned about making mistakes or producing something that doesn't work. At the end of the day,
it's all part of the experience.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, it's the end result that counts. It's not not what happens along the way. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's perfect. Everybody makes mistakes, and I feel like with any kind of art form, especially with songwriting, we definitely will always have things that we can learn and get better with. And I think your perspective is definitely a great one. And knowing that the music that you put out, people love it. So don't stress too much about the little things. It's all about the magic of the whole process. So, have you guys done any co writing?
Oh, that's interesting because we have, yes, we've a couple of times in actual fact, and both times really it was with somebody that was so. Coincidentally, I said earlier, my son lives in Boston. But there was also a guy that had seen some of our work from Boston. And he had basically got some song ideas, and we actually put a couple of songs out that we collaborated with him. And then there was another guy who, and again, it's got a Boston theme. It's all coincidental. Who basically had an idea, well, sent us a melody for something about Boston. And because my son obviously went to uni there, it was like it was probably the quickest song I ever wrote. In actual fact, I think it took me 45 minutes, and it was just my take on growing up in Boston. And you can listen to the song; it's out there, and we were really happy with it, weren't we? But lately, I can't say too much about it because it's a bit of a secret at the moment. But we are collaborating with somebody over a very, very different song.
Very different.
Very different for us. Almost like slightly uncomfortable, but we're enjoying doing it.
Yeah.
Co-writing is personally one of my favorite things to do ever. And when you think about co-writing, you definitely have to kind of compromise a bit and tweak your own process in order to kind of get in the flow with somebody else and make it work. So, during your co-writing experiences, have you experienced a situation where you really had to kind of change your own way of writing songs in order to write a song with someone else?
I mean, I've definitely, not so much with the writing, it's been more, for me, it's been more like vocally. I've had to sing things, or I'm in the process of singing things that's a little bit uncomfortable, whether that be like a very low part of a song, or it's a little bit of a, I don't know how to explain this. It's a bit of a fun thing. Like, it's really fun.
So I mean, traditionally our songs are quite serious and ballady, and we have done a couple of upbeat songs, but generally speaking, I know what Adele's range is, and you kind of write it in the key that works, and then all of a sudden, somebody's got an idea and it's in the key that you're unfamiliar with, or it might be a line that kind of is, I don't know, can I say it? A bit cheesy.
Or it's something that doesn't necessarily...
It's something that you wouldn't say and I wouldn't say. But it's like, how am I going to say this? Because I'd never say this in real life. So
it's either that, or it's like, obviously songs don't always rhyme, do they? But like, if you read a line and they're the like absolute opposite in how they're pronounced, so that it kind of feels like they don't fit together. It can all be, but it's all part of the learning curve. I think when you do things like that, it can help you with your own stuff, for you to be able to put that into yours and go, actually, it's okay to do it.
And I think that's why we're doing it, because I don't think it's a natural thing for us. I think we'd rather do it ourselves, if I'm being honest. But I think it's something that's important to do.
Yeah.
It definitely is really important. I've grown so much as a songwriter just from writing with other people, because some of their techniques are things that I never would have thought of. And maybe like some of their thought processes kind of aren't familiar to me, but after experiencing it, then that can kind of shift my mindset too. So I think it is important to co-write with a lot of people when you can, because it just helps you to grow, I think.
I agree. One of the things that I've learned from the process is the amount of words that you can actually fit into a line that I never thought was possible. Because mine are very much, I suppose, quite consistent in the way that they're structured. Whereas, there's some of the songs that we've had, and I've just written one where I've just put as many words as I possibly can in it, and it's incredible how great it sounds when you've got a lot of songs. We do a song by the band Perry called "If I Die Young," and it's
love
a real
that song.
I know it is a great song.
I cover that all the time. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And it's quite there's quite a lot of words to fit in, isn't it? And it's because of that, it really sort of moves along really nicely, doesn't it?
It does.
And it's things like that, you kind of go, wow, that really works well, and you take on board those things, which really help.
So I want to talk a little bit more about your choruses. So when you're doing your process and starting with the story, you kind of can probably see clearly what the verses are, because that's where a lot of the concrete storytelling material is. But once you get into the big message of the song and the hook, how exactly do you pinpoint that in the story that you came up with? Is it easy all the time, or do you sometimes have to think about what exactly you want your song's message to be?
I think I find writing choruses easier. and Andy finds the verses easier.
I do, yeah.
Were you just about to say that?
Yeah, that was exactly what I was going to
Yeah.
say. Yeah, I really struggle in
the snappy, quick
yes,
things that you've got to do.
I'm writing a short story, and it's like, and Adele kind of like chops it up and goes, no. I mean, it's something we do have to talk about, because I think there's been a couple of times where Adele's come up with something and I've gone,
what are you singing about?
Yeah, but that sounds really good in terms of the melody, but actually it doesn't make any sense with the story. So I think you do have to, take a step back and have a look at it.
Yeah, I think it's really important, especially in country music. You're telling a story, but you want there to be a huge message that the listener takes away. So I think spending a lot of time on the choruses is important and making sure it makes sense. I know for me, I, like you, mostly start with lyrics. Sometimes I'll write lyrics and melody simultaneously. But if something's not fitting, like if something's forced, you definitely have to take a step back and be like, yeah, this is just not working. We have to definitely change something here.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose the two songs that I'm most proud about both have that thing where, so As Much As I Miss You, kind of talks about as much as I miss you, your mother needs you more. And my whole take on that was, well, if the boy dies, then he's going to go to his dad, and and selfishly, his dad would want him to go and see him because he misses him. But actually, it's more important that he sees his mum, and that was the whole thrust of that. And then in Earl wasn't guilty at all. Is the message throughout the song? But somebody said, what's the whole na 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 bit? And it was like we sat back and we said, sometimes what did you?
It felt like we're not religious people ourselves, but how the song was coming across was it because there's a bit in it that says each year in September a vigil took place, so it felt right putting that into the song, because it felt like a bit of like a gospel moment where you could hear like a choir singing at this vigil, all singing the same song, and it's a part of the song that if anyone sings along to, that is the part, and that's how it feels.
Yeah, and it's bizarre that when we play the song, everybody makes a big deal of the na 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 nas, but it was an important part for us.
Yeah, I love it. I love that so much. You guys are literally awesome, and I don't want to end this conversation. So I have one more question before we wrap up, and that is in terms of the writing process specifically. What was the easiest song to write, like the one you wrote the fastest, and which one was the hardest for you to write, and why?
Was Here's Me your fastest song?
No, I think it was Remembering Boston.
Oh yeah, it was.
So I think it was either Remembering Boston or I'm Getting Over You, because that was quick as well. So I think it was Remembering Boston, and it was simply because I'd been to Boston, I'd seen Tom. Yeah, Tom didn't grow up in Boston, but I kind of saw the baseball going on. I saw the Harvard College, and I saw all the trees, and I went to Cape Cod, and all of a sudden, I could just see a boy growing up in Boston, and all these things that the boy was experiencing, and it was so easy. It just rolled off. And as I say, I said 45 minutes. I'm probably exaggerating. It could have been half an hour. It just
it was
absolutely blitzed through.
Got a song.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa.
And sometimes, when you do a song like that, it's just incredible, because sometimes you overthink songs, and because I didn't overthink that song, it just fitted together really nicely, didn't it? And I still like the song now. So that was probably the easiest. The hardest, I think, Echoes of the Forest, but I don't know.
I would hands down say Echoes of the Forest, because Echoes of the Forest nearly didn't get produced. It nearly didn't happen because Andy said it's a metaphor, and it's the song is actually about a dog, but like overall it's a metaphor saying you need to step out your comfort zone, else you're going to be in this little world and you're never going to know what's on the outside, and when you get to the outside you'll absolutely love it. But as I was reading it, I was going, I can just see a dog. I can't see past 4 paws on a wet nose. It was
the dog.
Very, very
the dog was living in a really comfortable place with his master, sitting by the fire and having a great life. And and he got snatched in the middle of the night. And
it's off a book, isn't it? Called
it's
The
Call of the Wild. It's and basically he has to go and fend for himself and fight a wild pack of dogs, and he becomes the leader of the pack, and then one day he gets retired and gets sent back to this wonderful life that he once led, and he hates it because he's had all this fun. And it was just me kind of going, come on guys, we all sit here thinking life's great, but wouldn't it be great like Adele and I did with our singing? We get out of the comfort zone and we do something that's really hard for us, and once you do, you can't go back. And that's so true with so many things, but it was just hard to get the message over to Adele.
It took lots of fights and for him to go, Adele, listen, it's not about a dog, it's about this. And I was going, oh, right, okay, I can sing it now.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And I think what we all can take away from this is back to the quote, all songs have different lives. There's different secrets for all of them. Some are quicker and easier to write than others. Some just don't work. And I think that is just such an important part of the songwriting process, to recognize that when we sit down to write songs, they don't happen the same way every time.
Definitely.
Agreed. Yeah.
So before we wrap things up, for all the aspiring songwriters listening, what are 2 pieces of advice, one from each of you, that you would like to give to them in terms of the songwriting process?
Don't force the issue. Let it come out. Be honest. Be honest about it. Let it come out. Don't try and work too hard on it and for too long. Just let it come out and be honest.
I would say, I think when dealing with anything, not just songwriting, make sure you don't take anything on social media to heart. Don't take it seriously. Don't try and take life from that. I think you need to, I always say, have social media breaks. Take a step away from all the scrolling that you're doing and just take time to focus on yourself and really focus on what you're doing. And then that's when the real stuff happens.
2 incredible pieces of advice. Well, Adele and Andy, thank you so much for joining me. Can you share with the listeners where they can find you on social media and your website and your music?
Yeah, so you can find us on Facebook. You just have to search Adele and Andy. Twitter, which is Adele and Andy 1. Instagram, Adele and Andy's Music. And we stream on Twitch every other Monday about 11 a.m. That's British summertime, every Wednesday evening, Friday evening, and Sunday evening from 8:30. And again, that's British summertime as well. And you can find us on all the streaming platforms like iTunes and Spotify and YouTube.
But I would encourage you to come onto Twitch because it's great fun.
Brilliant.
It's great fun.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, both of you, for joining me. I absolutely loved this conversation, and this was fantastic. Good luck with all the music you have coming. Listeners, thank you so much for listening, and until next time,
Stay
right on track.